Are you considering buying in the localization industry? Have you seen our M&A talks? Today we look at ways to qualify a seller.
So whenever you're qualifying the seller, it's ultimately about getting validation on a number of things. First of all, their motivation to sell. You need to understand why they want to sell. Because they need the money, because they want to retire, because they want to join a bigger company. It's important to understand what's motivating them to sell, because that's going to have an impact on how you build a relationship and also on the deal structure and the post-merger scenarios later. You need to get validation on their value drivers. You need to understand what they actually tell you about what makes them strong and why it makes them desirable. It's actually true. You need to have, of course, validation on their financials. You need to be very clear about everything there is to know under the sun in relation to their financial performance, in relation to debt, and everything else. An important aspect that it's not often talked about is culture. You need to get validation on their culture, because if the culture is a culture that is, in comparison to yours, for example, very relaxed and informal, you need to understand that there might be a culture shock afterwards that you may have to deal with. But also, it may have a bearing on how the deal evolves as well. So you need to bear in mind that cultures that are not compatible may not make a deal easy to close, or an ROI easy to obtain. You need to take into account the post-sales scenarios. Who may be staying? Who may be going? Who may you like to have in your management team? Who may you want to actually invite to fulfill a different function within the company? And also, you need to get validation on the price expectations and deal structure. If a company is asking for more than what you're prepared to pay, it's obviously one of the deal breakers here. And if an owner is not prepared to stay longer than, for example, say 1 year, and it puts your company and the acquisition at risk, you may want to think about whether you want to go ahead with that or not. So if the seller meets your criteria and you see them as a desirable target, the recommendation is to understand what kind of offer will keep them interested during all the conversations. You need to consider as well how you want to earn their trust and make sure that they don't mistrust you in any way, or that they hold back, or that they actually start not telling you everything that they should. And in order to do all these things, you need to make sure that you set the right tone and that you set the right schedule expectations.